Hello and welcome to the Radio Scilly video news. Sign up to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Radio Scilly. Around £500 has been raised for the air ambulance by the island's keen motorcyclists who turned out in force to the Old Town Inn for a barbecue evening. 23 motorbikers came out. James Sherris was one of the organisers of the session and he's responsible for the name of the club, the Bunzig Club. James says the name was inspired by his mother's experience in the Netherlands.
Bunzig came about back in the early 50s when my mother was working in Holland on a farm over there, and on the mantelpiece in the farmhouse there was a stuffed weasel in a case, and she put over in a broken Dutch, "What is it?" And they said, "Oh, it's a Bunzig." And Bunzigs have always been known in our family ever since. And when we sort of set up this bike club about 11 years ago, the name came about. And we said, "Oh, it's going to be called Bunzig MC." And there we go. That's how Bunzig MC came about.
James says the name of the club proved useful to him on a trip to Holland's biggest city.
The only time at all, I was in Amsterdam in 1991. I was in this little bitty grubby bar. I generally sort of go in those places. And there was a girl working behind the bar, and there's this mouse kept going along behind the back of the bar. And I didn't know what mouse was in Dutch, so I said Bunzig, and she nearly bloody hit the ceiling. I mean, she bloody well knew what it was, but but nobody else ever seems to. Yeah.
The motorcyclists meet up on Sunday afternoons and ride around St Mary's, stopping at tea rooms. Hell's Angels, they certainly are not. Cyril Nicholas says he's very proud of his cruiser.
My bike is a Triumph Bonneville America. It was last year's model. And everything, I changed it in because I had a Suzuki Marauder 800 before, and this one's 865. A bit more power, very comfortable to ride. It's the only trouble over here, you can't really open the thing up to go around, but otherwise it's very, very comfortable. I like the bike. One or two don't like cruisers, but I'm a cruiser man. I prefer to have cruisers.
A team of young volunteers from the RSPB youth group attended the Mundersley Fete on Saturday to promote the problems faced by plovers when their nests, often near to beaches around the island, are disturbed. Questionnaires were given out and a short mini-quiz was offered during the lunchtime fundraiser for the air ambulance and the boarding house Mundersley facility.
Do you know where they nest?
On the ground.
On the ground? Whereabouts on the ground on here on the Alpha Scilly, do you think?
I don't know.
You want to tell them? They nest on the beach at like a tide lane.
Just in little holes in the sand, and they just lay their eggs there. They don't put any grass.
Yeah. Saxophone. Yeah. Start doing
Hooking your sister up and having a look underneath. Bubbles, well done, Shay.
Maxine was one of the team and felt there was a mixed response from those she questioned.
Some people are interested and some people aren't that interested and don't really care much.
Do people know about them? Have you heard of them?
Some people didn't know of them. They didn't even know they existed.
Islanders have gathered to mark the turf cutting, which signifies the start of the build for the new Arza Scilly Veterinary Support Group's surgery and accommodation. Work has already started on foundations at the site at the side of Enor Close and Launson Close in Oldstown. Chairman of the group, Bill Wilson, said he was pleased that so many island families have already signed up to support the fundraising for the facility and for the equipment to go inside. It's planned to open in December and provide a new fit-for-purpose base for the vet, as well as accommodation that, should a new vet be required in the future, should attract suitable candidates to the islands. Bill Wilson says 153 islands households are already supporting the initiative, and he says the project will make a difference to pet and animal owners' lives.
So yeah, I think we've got a lot of support. We had one or two doubts to begin with, people wondering what's this all about, building a surgery for a part-time vet, but now I think people have begun to realise, now that we've had a resident vet without a break for 3 years, and people have got, not use, but have had to make use of the existing accommodation, with the X-ray being in a barn at Rose Hill, the surgery being a sort of 10-foot square building where operations and general examinations all happen together. I think people are now convinced we need this.
Bill believes that the ongoing maintenance costs will be met by existing events and support from the membership scheme.
We'll still have the need to have a sort of running costs project, the big cost this year is the capital cost of building the new surgery. After that, we'll probably need a few thousand a year for running costs. But bearing in mind the success of our dog shows, quiz nights and things like that, plus our £10 membership a year, I'm very confident we'll be able to cover those running costs year by year.
Council Chairman Julia Day picked up a spade to help plant the trees to mark the event and said it was an important occasion for our islands.
Oh, absolutely delighted, yes. I mean, it's a really big day for the community to see the foundations going in, to know that we are going to have, a proper veterinary surgery and accommodation set aside for the vet is really good news for the islands.
The project's been mainly funded by the local action group. Their manager, Amanda Pender, says the £98,000 that's gone into the scheme signifies how important they view the provision of animal veterinary services to be on the islands.
It was actually our first project to come through our doors, so I think it was probably the biggest challenge we had to date. But we can actually fund projects up to £100,000, so £98,000 is just beyond our threshold. But we have the money and we want to spend it within the islands, and that's what we're all about, helping the community, so we're delighted.
Islands vet Heike Dawn says it'll make a real difference to her work, and she's excited just by looking at the foundations.
Yeah, totally. It's a proper practice here with all these examination room, x-ray room, operating theatre, dispensary, little waiting room. People don't have to stand outside in the rain anymore.
Islanders, visitors and former service personnel have congregated in the park to watch the raising of the Union flag to mark the start of Armed Forces Week.
Do this to mark the beginning of a week of events to recognise, honour.
The event was observed by local councils across the UK.
Must be sincere, hate what is evil, and cling to what is good.
Army Cadet Ben Johnson undertook the duties.
All right, Ben, what's your official title? Go get that right.
I'm Cadet Sergeant Ben Johnson, and I am the most senior rank on the Isles of Scilly at this moment in time.
What does it mean to you to raise the flag as you have done this morning?
Oh, it's a great privilege. I've got family in the armed forces, so it's a really nice achievement for me, and it represents everybody around the world and in Britain who's in the armed forces. So.
Now, we've heard from Smudge saying with interest amongst younger people doesn't seem to be there. I mean, obviously you prove that's not true, but do you think it's important that younger people at the Five Island School understand the importance of this week's events?
I do. We've got a lot of people up at cadets that are wanting to join either the Army or the Navy, but people that don't usually go to cadets or don't have any experience with the armed forces are a bit it's fighting, we're not going to go near it, when there's a whole other side to the forces where it's travelling, enjoying yourself and doing sport. So.
Is it something you want to pursue?
Oh, definitely. It's just a great eye-opener this week for anybody that's never had any experience with the forces before.
So what's your role going to be on Saturday?
Saturday I'm leading the cadet parade. We've got about 14 cadets which will be marching from the school down onto the Strand, and we'll be just representing the Isles of Scilly forces.